The Biden administration will release its latest plan meant to identify and curb the increasing threat of domestic terrorism. In the wake of the January 6th insurrection, Attorney General Merrick Garland will outline steps government officials and social media companies alike can take to fight white supremacy and prevent people from joining dangerous groups. Jeff Pegues is here now with a preview of this plan and the Attorney General's address. Jeff, good to see you. So the AG has put a focus on fighting domestic terrorism since he took the job. We know the FBI Director Christopher Wray has talked a lot about this. He's testified about white supremacy in the United States. So let's talk about the policy that the AG plans to lay out today. What are you hearing?
Well, there is a lot of pressure on this administration to do something that other recent administrations really haven't done, which is put this hyper-focus on domestic terrorism cases. As you know, there's been this focus on international terrorism, and all the while you have this growing threat from domestic terrorist organizations here at home. And so what the Attorney General will seek to do is essentially, this is a reset, not in foreign policy terms, but in domestic policy terms and in law enforcement terms for how law enforcement, whether it's federal law enforcement, local law enforcement, can better coordinate to meet these domestic terrorism threats. And that is something that he will outline today in this speech.
So then what will the Biden administration incorporate into this strategy, and what role did the assault on the Capitol play in the creation of the plan?
Well, the insurrection certainly brought this home, not only for law enforcement, but also for lawmakers. And so since he came into office, the Attorney General, on his first day in office, in fact, initiated a 100-day review of domestic terrorism policies throughout the federal government. And the changes that we'll outline today are expected to address some of the shortcomings in that policy. In other words, what they're going to say specifically is that they want to share information better. They're getting other agencies involved, like the Treasury Department, so they can follow the money more effectively, which is a tactic that has been used for decades now in following foreign terrorist organization funding, because if you can track the money, you can ultimately lead to the people involved. And so there will be a better effort to do that. Also, efforts to identify these threats earlier, because what we've seen over the last several years is that attacks have happened and you have law enforcement saying essentially that they did not see this coming. And so what this new policy, this new approach will do is essentially close some of the gaps, plug some of the vulnerabilities.
Will any laws, Jeff, change as a result of this plan going forward?
Well, the Attorney General is reviewing whether there needs to be a criminal domestic terrorism statute. That is the kind of tool that some people in law enforcement have called for. They believe that they need more tools to counter this threat, similar to how the laws changed after 9/11 to address foreign terrorist threats. And so that is something that is being reviewed at this time. Obviously, if you're going to change a law, Congress will have to come into play there. But it is something after this 100-day review that the Attorney General is considering.
All right, Jeff Pegues for us this morning. Jeff, thank you as always. Appreciate it. FBI Director Christopher Wray and other officials will testify before House lawmakers about the January 6th attack on the Capitol. You can stream that at 2 p.m. Eastern, also right here on CBSN.